Hey everyone, in this fourth tutorial video, I'm going to walk you through the process of digitizing features from a georeferenced map so we can use them independently in a web mapping platform like QGIS. You may have enjoyed turning off and on the georeferenced map layers to observe changes between 1964 and 1954. Wouldn't it be easier to see those changes if we didn't have all that other blank space in the way though? Digitizing lets us create shapes of only features that we want to display on the map. It's also a useful way to add additional data to our map layers. Let's start that process now. It's important to note that digitizing takes a lot of time and patience. It isn't challenging, but you may want some music on in the background. If you must digitize tons and tons of features, it can get a little boring. But you may also find yourself in the camp of people who finds it sort of relaxing. I tend to be one of those people. We'll start with our racial change 1954 map that we began working on previously. Digitizing requires you to work carefully. You'll also want to stop and save frequently. First, let's turn off the 1954 modified layer. We're not going to need it for right now. The layer's still there, we're just hiding it. So you'll just click off on anything over here in the table of contents of the layers panel whenever you want to hide them or make them visible again. Next, you'll want to right click in the menu bar and make sure that Advanced Digitizing Toolbar is checked here. If it's not checked, a bunch of tools will disappear, so we want to make sure that those are available. We're going to use at least one of those coming up. We are now going to create 3 map layers of our own. If you remember from the previous videos, we took a screen capture of the old map's legend. That color-coded scale documents neighborhoods by racial composition. On their scale, red equals black neighborhood, orange equals mixed predominantly black neighborhood, yellow equals mixed predominantly white, and white equals white neighborhood. We're going to remake that legend and create some new layers of our own on the map. Now, here's a cartographer's note. This old color scheme is a racist artifact. Color coding areas as red when linked to ethnic and racial minorities has a long and racist history. Red is symbolically linked to danger or hazard on maps generally, especially when used in a sequential scale like this, where the colors go from red to orange to yellow to white, and seem to symbolically connote less desirable to more desirable. It's also generally frowned upon in cartography to use colors to imply racial characteristics so literally. As such, we are not going to use the color white for white neighborhoods. Our new legend will be dark green equals black neighborhood 1964, light green equals predominantly black neighborhood 1964, light purple equals predominantly white neighborhood 1964. To create the first layer, black neighborhood 1964, first select layer in the top menu up here. For Windows machines, again, that will appear directly in the QGIS interface. On Macs, this menu gets placed up in the upper menu bar on the Mac interface. So we'll go to Layer, and we will go to Create Layer, and we will select New Shapefile Layer. For file name, we'll select the ellipsis here next to this ellipsis button. Then we'll navigate to our own shapefiles folder. Mine's already pre-populating. You might have to backtrack and find yours. It should be inside your project folder that you created that has these 4 subfolders. We'll make sure that we're selected to be in our shapefile folder. And then for save as, we're going to want to call this Black Neighborhood 1964. We're going to change our geometry type here to polygon, since we're going to be sketching polygons on the map. We also want to make sure that our project's projection is aligned, and so we will make sure to switch it here so that it's this one that says Project CRS EPSG 3857. We don't need to add any field names in here now, but this is something that's important to keep in mind. We can always do that later. Fields are essentially ways that you can add records of information to your layers. For example, if you knew the number of residents that were in each neighborhood that we were going to draw, you could add a field name here that was population, and that would then appear in the attribute table for the shapes that we're going to create. Let's go ahead now and hit save. And you'll see it appear here in our table of contents list. I'm going to actually make sure it's the top item. So you can drag and move things around here within your table of contents. And so I want this new purple black neighborhoods to be at the top of my layers panel here. All right, let's do one thing more while we're over here. Let's right click on this layer and hit properties. You could also just simply double click the layer. And we want to select symbology here from the left menu. And we'll change our color drop down to make this a darker shade of green instead. So hit apply and OK. And so now that's color coded as green, meaning that every one of these shapes that we draw in here within this layer will now appear green on the map as well. We're going to now repeat this process for the other two layers. Make sure when you do this, though, that you give them the appropriate names based off the legend names that we provided above, and make sure that you color code them appropriately based off that legend. So I'll pause this for a second to do that, and we'll come back. We can now start the editing process here in a second. You should have something that looks roughly like this with our three new layers here: Black Neighborhoods 1964, Predominantly Black Neighborhoods 1964, and Predominantly White Neighborhoods 1964. Let's start the editing process. So make sure your Black Neighborhoods 1964 is selected in the layer panel by clicking on it once. If it is selected, it will have this gray bar around it indicating that it has been selected. Find the pencil icon in the menu above. This is the editing tool. You'll click on it to engage it, and then you'll notice that a bunch of those other tools will suddenly become available, meaning they're no longer grayed out anymore. With the pencil tool activated, we want to go ahead and make sure that the pencil also appears next to the layer that we had selected in the layers panel down here, Black Neighborhoods. That means that is the layer that we are currently working on. If that is the case, we can start drawing our first boundary. Want to zoom in a little bit first down into one of this neighborhood here that's just south of Roosevelt, where Maine meets Roosevelt. This is the area that we'll start doing some of this sample digitization in. So we want to go up here to the select add polygon feature here. So it's just a few over. It looks like a little bit like a mini golf course here. We'll click on that. It's the select add polygon feature. And we've scrolled down to this appropriate neighborhood. Now we can start sort of clicking and adding points to basically sketch out the boundaries of this. So I'm going to start in the upper left corner here. And you'll zoom in carefully, and using your mouse's scrolling wheel or sort of whatever features your mouse has to scroll. You can also use the arrow keys on your keyboard to navigate over. Notice this isn't going to be a perfect fit because of the pixelation of the image. And so we'll sort of do our best to approximate and clicking at each point that we want to be part of the finished shape. And once we are done, I'll add one more here. And we right click. Once we're all done, we can name this feature 1. Now, one final thing to note, if you mess up at any point, if you have any issues where you don't like the shape of it, it's not a big deal. You can always delete features in a few different ways. You can simply, if you're still clicking on points and you haven't right-clicked yet, you can simply hit delete to back up a point. It's also possible once a shape has been created, so I'm going to hit OK here to have our first shape. We can always select it and then hit delete simply to delete it if we don't like it. So there's always a way to back yourself up. Don't get too concerned about this. You're not going to break anything doing this basic editing. All right, so we have now the shape drawn on here. Let me make sure I'm selected back at a pan tool here. So we have our shape drawn. It appears on the map as a green polygon. We might not like the final shape as we've drawn it, now that we can see it a little bit closer. So we can actually go back up here to the vertex tool and click on this, and it activates individual vertices, and we can move those around and make some minor tweaks and adjustments here to the shape of the polygon. See where I said you can perhaps get a little bit obsessed with this process. Right. So if you're the completist type, you can spend a fair amount of time in the digitization process. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop at that point. We will always want to save pretty frequently here. So I'm going to do that once now, save my layer edits. All right, now you might recall before we actually buried this sort of rendering beneath the map with our new shapefile, we look behind it, right? There are actually a couple areas of orange that are inside of the predominantly red area here. So no matter, we can actually fix that. We can use this add ring tool up here to basically cut a hole out of this larger polygon. So what we can do real quick here is, so we can see that again, I'm going to drop the transparency back down, just temporarily. So I right-clicked on this layer, went to Properties, made sure Symbology was checked and looked for the opacity icon, and then dropped this down. So it's now semi-transparent, just so we can see where those were previously. Now, while this is still in editing mode, let's go up and use this Add Ring tool and zoom in here and sort of basically cookie cutter out the section. So I clicked the points and right-clicked when I was done, and it basically removed a little hole there. And we could do the same thing with that hole. We could go back to the Add Vertice tool and make some adjustments here if we thought that was too big or too small. Right. So there we go. I'm going to head and save that again. And we could do the same thing and cut this feature out from the top here as well. The point being, this is actually supposed to be an orange area. This should be classified differently. It should be one of these predominantly black neighborhoods that's in lighter green. All right, I'm going to turn this transparency back up, or off, I should say, remove it. And there we go. So we've saved it. We could, at this point, if you wanted to take a break, you could always click this off to stop editing, and you can click it again to start it back up. You've digitized your first feature. You can proceed now to continue digitizing other features within this layer. You could take a stab at colors within the other layers here and start getting a patchwork quilt back on the map. And so I wanted to show you one other thing. The reason this is kind of important and interesting, if we go back to the larger window of the map here, let's turn off our underlying raster image. And so you can see now what we've added basically is just that individual shape that we rendered. And we could turn that transparency back up or down. So you could make some comparisons to the present day landscape here to see what neighborhoods fell into that area, what was that cutout. We might even want to adjust the cutout now that we see it probably aligns with this interior block here. And so we could appropriately rework the shape of this. So let me go ahead actually and hit that vertex editing tool here. And this is sort of the work that historical geographers, historical GIS types might do. All right, I'm going to stop playing now. So we finished that feature. Like I said, you can begin this process of going in and filling out the rest of the map to your heart's content. And in a final short video, I'll actually provide a sample example of this work once completed. In the meantime, enjoy digitizing.